Sorry, Daifuku, not today. My boy Sanji's putting in that work. Hey guys, how you going? Roy Story here to talk about One Piece manga chapter 899. It's one more week till the big 900. Quite excited to see what Oda is going to include in the chapter. And we got the news that we're going to get a color spread for this edition. And I'm also excited to see what the color spread is going to be because I've got a bit of a habit. I collect the color spreads on my desktop. And yeah, it's going to be another good one, I hope. So this week's chapter starts off with Montdor panicking on the phone to Perospero, and it's funny that in the three options that Perospero gave Montdor, he didn't include the fact that the wedding cake might actually not be poison. So it's very clear to see that the Straw Hats or whoever they think cooked the wedding cake is not going to get credit when Big Mom actually does like the wedding cake. We find out that Stussy and Morgans have made a run for it from Big Mom's territory and they're going to try and chase them down. But I think it's very important that at least Morgans gets out of Big Mom's territory because if we want to see some bounty updates for the Straw Hat Pirates and Jinbei especially, we need Morgans to get out there and get that news out to the world. So after they escape and after this arc finishes, I do think we are going to get bounty updates, and especially I think Luffy and Sanji are going to get a huge update because Luffy obviously just defeated Katakuri and Sanji just for his whole role that he's played in this arc. So I'm really excited to see that, but to make that happen we need Big News Morgan, who's been one of my favourite characters this arc. We need him to escape safely. So I think it'll happen, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that one. We then see Big Mom's civilians that are living in her territory starting to panic, and they're starting to second guess whether or not it was the right choice to live under a Yonko, because at the same time, while she does give them her protection, this isn't the first time that she's gone on a rampage, and obviously this is the most devastating rampage she's ever been on, but you would start to second guess whether or not it's actually the right choice, because especially living under someone like Big Mom, she's very volatile, and it doesn't take much for her, it seems, to go on one of her food rampages, and it seems like she can just wipe out whole towns in an instant. And that's the power of a Yonko. Because I think a lot of their civilians are going to choose to either leave Big Mom's territory or they're gonna speak to Big Mom about it and she's going to take their life force. So either way, I think the Big Mom empire is going to dwindle down significantly after this arc. Quick question to all of you guys. Where has Pudding gone? Did she wipe Sanji's memory? Because she's just vanished in thin air. Surely Sanji wouldn't have left her back on Coco Island. I know his main goal was to save Luffy from the start, but you know, with Sanji's chivalry and the way he reacts to him, and there was a genuine fondness for Pudding at this stage in the arc, and I don't think that Sanji would have just left her stranded on Coco Island, because Oven has already kind of indicted her for parts of the events that have taken place. So I doubt that Sanji would just leave her there knowing that she's probably, her position as a Big Mom pirate is probably vulnerable at the moment. It was really cool to see Daifuku finally getting a little bit of spotlight, sending his genie over to the Sunny. And that thing is massive. Daifuku is putting in some work. It was really also very good when he took a slash at Carrot and Sanji blocked it. So for all you Sanji haters, there's still light for our boy yet. He's coming, and I really think that him and Daifuku are going to have a clash in the next chapter. And I think it's going to be a simultaneous thing with, as the cake makes Big Mom faint, Sanji will deliver the final blow to Daifuku or whoever he does get a fight with. I was quite interested when Daifuku tells Pudding that his Devil Fruit ability does have range on it. So how far is that range? We're not quite sure because we don't know the exact distance from the Sunny to where Smoothie's ship is at the moment, but it's pretty long. So Daifuku's ability is probably one of the most hacks out of all the Big Mom pirates, and I do think he's probably a little bit stronger than Oven. We know he's not quite on Katakuri's level, and he's probably just under all three of the Sweet Commanders, but I do think he's a step up from Oven, and that's why Oven was taken out by the Vinsmoke children and Daifuku's still here, because he's probably going to have that fight with Sanji. And I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest, because it's been a long time since Sanji has had his winning moment, and there's no way that they can escape Big Mom's territory if they fight without Sanji coming away with a win. Like, we don't have time and the situation for Sanji to get beaten here. So I think we're finally going to see, Sanji have that fight. We see Judge again coming to help the Straw Hats and protect the Sunny with his fleet. They form a wall in front of the 1,000 Sunny. And what do you know, Judge is still going on about how Sanji's a failure. I thought it was really, really interesting to see Judge brought up, there's been these little hints that Sanji hasn't got the exoskeleton, the hard skin of the Vinsmokes, and that Sanji's emotions are still there, which makes him weaker. But all throughout One Piece, as all you guys would know, Oda has hinted that Sanji's power actually is derived from his emotions. So it was really funny to see that Judge name those 2 or 3 things that it's what brings Sanji down. And the classic Luffy moment where he actually found it funny that Judge was, pointing out all of Sanji's good points when in fact he was doing the opposite. And Jinbei starts laughing and Sanji's like, oh my god. And Luffy's just like, see you later. Thanks for all the help. And it's just a classic protagonist Luffy moment. But I do think that Judge naming those 3 things about Sanji, his emotions, his hard skin, and his cooking are going to shine in this arc, because obviously we've got the cake that's already been baked. I just want to say one thing about the cake. If you see the panel where Big Mom's zoning in on the cake and she's about to get her hands on it, they didn't decorate that cake very well if they were trying to prove a point that they're not trying to poison Big Mom, because there's skulls on it, there's crosses, and the whole cake looks like a graveyard, like a church. So if you're trying to show someone that you're actually not trying to poison their leader, that is not the way to go about it. But anyway, I do think there was a big importance of Judge naming the 3 things about Sanji that he doesn't deem as strong, or that he deems that Sanji has failed in. So it was the hard skin, it was the cooking, and it was his emotions. Think that we've had the cooking moment of this arc where Sanji has really shined, and now we're waiting on the moment where Sanji shows that his skin isn't just soft, and I think he's gonna have an Armament Haki moment where we're gonna see finally with Sanji the black coca coating. So we're also gonna get, I think, during Sanji's fight this arc, a moment where his power is drawn out with the emotion that he's feeling, probably because of his dad and his brothers being there. And I think we're going to see the part where Judge does come to realize that Sanji isn't a failure, and that Sanji probably was his greatest creation, because Judge is going to realize that taking the emotions away from the other Vinsmokes and pretty much turning them into robots wasn't the best route to go about in creating a strong army, or as to say. We also didn't get to see Judge's eyebrows, and I am sure we're not going to leave this arc until we see that Judge's eyebrows do swirl the same way as Sanji's. The only way I can see it kind of playing out is if after this arc finishes, the Vinsmokes still are allowed to attend the reverie, and we do see Judge without a face mask on or without the bandages wrapped around his head, and then we see that his eyebrows are the same as Sanji's, because in a way, it doesn't really matter if Judge has the same eyebrows as Sanji, too much from Sanji's point of view, because Sanji has already declared that he wants nothing to do with them. So it's not going to be like Sanji's going to see his eyebrows and then all of a sudden think, oh, father, you're right. That's not going to happen. So I think we're going to either see that before this arc ends, or we're going to see it when Judge comes to the reverie and has his meeting with the world nobles and so and so. We see Capone and Lola, and Capone tells Lola that his ship's been destroyed. So how the hell are they going to get out of Big Mom's territory? You can't just walk out of there. It's surrounded by ocean. So are they going to hijack a ship? Are they going to meet up with Luffy again? I can't see them all getting on the Sunny, the whole of Bage's crew. So I'm really interested to see how Bage and that make it out of Big Mom's territory, because it's not looking good for them at the moment. I'm hoping that the cake does knock out Big Mom, because if she comes to it after she eats that cake and Bage is there in front of her, it's going to be goodbye for Capone Bage. And then at the end of the chapter, we get the big moment where the former Sun pirates come splashing out of the ocean, and once again, as everything seems like it's about to be lost, all hope is gone, we get that surprise come, and that's just a great strength of Oda's writing. He's always able to surprise the audience, and the Sun Pirates pop out of the ocean, and it looks like Watatsumi actually managed to take out a few of Big Mom's ships. I don't think that they've probably got any members of their crew that are strong enough to 1v1 like Smoothie or Daifuku or Snack, because I'm pretty sure Snack is still around. But it's definitely going to help, and I think if Sanji, Jinbei, Brook, Nami, they all get involved in the fight, the Straw Hats have got a really good chance of escaping now. So I think I wouldn't like to see them just ride out of Big Mom's territory. I want to see them stay there, fight, help their comrades, and then leave Big Mom's territory. We see Jinbei dive into the ocean, so if Daifuku's genie is still attacking the Sunny, that pretty much means that Sanji does have to clash with it, and Sanji does have to fight it, because Brook, Chopper, Nami, they're not stopping Daifuku's genie. That thing is huge, and that's another question I had. As that thing gets bigger, surely the only thing that can happen is that its powers are becoming stronger and more devastating. You would think so. With one swing of that spear, it looks like the whole Sunny would be ripped in half. So it's a good thing that Sanji is there, and it seems like it's set up that Sanji does have to fight Daifuku. So that's about all for this week's chapter, guys. We've got a few questions leading into chapter 900. One of them is, what's happened to Peckham's? Is Peckham still alive? I really, really don't hope that they have gouged his eyes out and that he's never able to use his Su Long form again. And I hope that he's alright. I hope somehow he does make it off the island alive, because it would be a big tragedy to see both Peckhams and Pedro die in this arc, because they were quite big alliances with the Straw Hats and friends with Luffy and the crew. So, and we've come to love them as characters. I really don't want to see them both go in this arc, as well as Pound as well. So I'm hoping that somehow he does make it off the island alive, but you never know. Maybe even Pudding will help him out, because I think as it stands, they don't know that Pudding's on the island, and the Vinsmokes are still there, so anything can happen. But I can't see them the Vinsmokes getting off that island and Oven still being alive, and Raisin and all the other Big Mom children still being alive, the Charlotte kids, because it's pretty much a fight to the death. I don't know how they're going to get away with one of the two parties still being there, so it's going to be weird to see what Oda comes up with, and when we do see those parties next, how the events did unfold. And maybe we won't know, but I'm hoping we do get an explanation for that. We're going to jump straight into chapter 900, the big 900, and I'm really excited as to what we're going to see. I think Big Mom is definitely going to eat the cake and faint in the next chapter, and it's going to be the kind of the big conclusion to this arc. So I'm ready. Hope you guys are ready. Overall, I'd rate this chapter probably a 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. Very enjoyable. It did move a little bit slow, but it's obviously building to next week's chapter. That's all from me this week, guys. Please, if you liked anything that I had to say, subscribe and leave a comment and like to the video. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.